Does anyone want to take a guess as to how many times I record an intro in each episode? Go ahead and guess, and then I'll count them up next time and do it. But I'm going with this one today. This is Unwind Your Life with me, Shannon Dusky, and I am so happy you are here. So thanks for being with me. Today I want to share my very first breathwork experience with you. It's been something that I've wanted to share, but it's also very near and dear to my heart. And so I think sometimes we procrastinate on sharing things that, make us feel a little more vulnerable. And it just feels good this morning. My kids are still magically sleeping. Well, two of them. And one of them is being quiet. So here we are. This is Unwind Your Life. And we're here to talk about breathwork today. So my very first experience with breathwork was in April of 2021. And as we kind of go through the story, I just want to tell you, first I'm going to start with what my state was going into my very first breathwork session, kind of how I worked through that, explaining the logistics and experience in itself, but then also where I was coming out of it and how I've used it in my life moving forward, because it has been one of the most impactful tools that I have in my toolbox to help me stay grounded and regulated and centered. And it sounds like, I think I was like, well, what is breath work? When I was very first introduced to this concept, it's breathing. Breath work is breathing. That's all it is. It's just a fancy word for different breathing techniques that can benefit our human bodies. So here's my story. Again, very first experience was April 2021. I was kind of surprise pregnant. Okay. I've always wondered how people can be surprised that they're pregnant, because I'm like, well, if it's a possibility, right? But as someone that I track my cycle, clearly I hadn't been doing that as well as I thought I was. I was like, oh, I'm good. In January prior to this, I really didn't think I was pregnant when I took my pregnancy test. I'm like, this is not a thing. And then surprise, here's Norley. So if you've ever been in that situation, you kind of know what I mean. But it was also this weird type of feeling, right? Because I also, with my first, we battled with infertility. We were getting ready to go to Omaha to do multiple testing or more testing. The process took a whole 2 years, which I know people go through, all different realms of that. But there's this heartbreak that comes with the infertility, and this this idea I'll just take as many kids as I can have and blah blah blah, when you're kind of going through that. And it's a whole different experience to try for 2 years and have the heartbreak that's associated with that. And then by the time Norley came around, the third, it was oh, surprise, you're pregnant, and you didn't even we weren't kind of planning on that. And so it was this whole new level of acceptance that was really quite difficult. Plus the fact that, when you find out you're pregnant, usually they're cold turkey off your antidepressants, which throws you for a whole new loop. And you're just what the hell is going on? So that's kind of the state I was in. I was in a really hard state for myself, mentally, just working to accept this phase of life, working to just balance myself emotionally while I'm pregnant, while I'm cold turkey off my antidepressants. And I recognized this shift within myself, because when I was around people or family that typically energized me, I would find myself just hiding in a back bedroom or kind of just like tending to the kids in a way of like avoiding interactions with others, which is very unlike me, right? And it almost felt like this outer body experience as I was like witnessing myself not be myself. And also in this time, like the relationship with my mom had shifted just a little bit. And it was, it's a seasonal thing. We all go through these shifts in life, but I don't know. It was just a little bit different. And so when Jaylene had reached out to say, hey, would you be open to a breathwork session? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like me and my mom and one of my mom's friends like had worked with Jaylene before. And so she was wanting to, see about doing a session. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. But then after that, witnessing like what I was going through as I managed myself, I was really hesitant to do it. And I just called Jaylene up and I said, here's where I'm at. I don't know if I feel like safe and comfortable enough to do this. I don't know what the experience is like. And she really just allowed space for me to voice those hesitations and encouraged me to choose like what was best for me, and also gave me a little context of what her experience has been like. And even though you are around others at times, it also feels like there's a bubble around you and you're working through your own experience, which is sometimes hard to fathom, right? Like, oh, I'm in a group of people, but I'm also experiencing what I'm experiencing outside of that. But really, that's truly how it felt. So I did decide to move forward, and we did the breathwork session. And I think what's funny about this is like all of the words and flowery stuff around it, but like the experience in itself, like the breathwork experience, is very logistically simple. Like there's simple instructions on like, this is how we're going to breathe, and you lay there and breathe. Like logistically easy. Now, there are several different, like there are many, 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 many different types of breath work, but for this particular experience, like it was be comfortable. Your space is your space. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, which I had to kind of let go of within my own experience because it just felt strained. And so there's no right or wrong way to go about any sort of breath work as long as you're freaking breathing. So logistically, it's very simple. But what a person can work through when you actually allow space to just breathe can be like quite complex. And sometimes you don't know exactly what's going to come up because in these busy lives of ours, these day-to-day demands, these obligations, all of these things that we feel the need to do, all these expectations that we put on ourselves and that the world puts on us, it's easy to just wake up and go. You wake up and you go, wake up and you go, and you go, 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 go until you go to bed, and then you go to bed. And so it's not the norm to allow space for yourself to just breathe and be in the moment and let go of anything else that you've got to do in that moment. And then to be in a space where that is supported and encouraged to simply be. Jaylene, as the facilitator, kind of helped support us through that and really provided a safe, encouraging space to be exactly where we were. And it was emotional. I dug out my journal from what I felt coming out of it. I felt like the biggest thing coming out of the session was I felt like it was the first time that I fully embraced and accepted that pregnancy, because my mind just was kind of like, what is going on? And I feel like my intuitive self, my like spirit was like, Shannon, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And so I do want to read that to you. kind of towards the end. And as we wrapped up the session, Jaylene had like chocolates and art and like colored pencils and things like that so that we could kind of like take time to just make note of things that came up. But I tell you what, after you lay there and breathe for like 45 minutes, you come out of that and your senses are so heightened. Like, I swear my senses were heightened for like a week straight. But like, there was trail mix and a piece of chocolate, and I'm like, this is the best chocolate and trail mix I've ever had in my life. And it was probably just like a simple thing. And then she had tea that was just warm, but like engaging all of your senses after you've given yourself space to just be is just a really cool experience. So I want to leave you with this, and this is what, again, I journaled kind of coming out of breathwork experience. A little bit later, I'm going to share my birth story with Nora Lee at some point, maybe on her second birthday, because I haven't even taken a minute to actually write it down in full. But after this breathwork session, I started to incorporate breathwork more consistently into my life. And while I was pregnant, I kind of gave myself the gift of taking baths, and I would turn on the same playlist that she played during the session, and I would lay in the bath and I would just breathe. I wouldn't do anything. I would just breathe, and I would lay with my humble bath bombs in my bath and smell it and breathe, and it was amazing. It also prepared me for labor and delivery with Nora Lee, and it was unlike either of my other two experiences with labor and delivery, and it was magical. So I'm going to leave you with these words. This is what I journaled coming out of that first session. I've been here before. Peace around change, breathing and letting go. Let go. Nourish your body. I see you, baby girl. You are already an amazing little spirit, capable of anything. Your greatest happiness and joy, to live freely and be you. Be open. To be open, you must let go. To give and receive full and true love and light, let go. Let go of your expectations and just be. Be filled with the presence of spirit and allow it to guide you. Feel. I am with you. You are mine, always. Slow down. Let go of the expectations you put on yourself. There's no pressure. It's perceived. An illusion. So let go. Trust. Be. It's okay.